Why don't you listen to your inner voice? The number one reason is because you have learned not to listen to it. Sure, when you were a child like everyone else, you got discouraged when you listened to it. But now, why don't you listen to it? There's no external withholding of love, acceptance, or approval if you use that connection and connect with that inner voice. Well, the reason is because you don't know how. When you listen, sometimes it takes you astray, and really astray. Why? Well, because you have to learn to speak the language of your inner voice. That inner voice is not structured, and therefore it's not a voice. Some people may hear things, they might get lucky that way, but for most, we have to really learn the language of energy. When you learn the language of energy, you start to get a sense of what that inner voice is telling you. Because otherwise, you might sit there going, my inner voice says that I should have everything, or I should spend the money and do that thing, and you wind up spending the money, doing that thing, hurting someone, pissing someone else off, and spending all your money on something that you don't even like a week later. And then you're kind of upset and bitter and unhappy. And was it the voice, or was it your inability to interpret the voice? Was it a true, authentic voice from within, or was it a voice from what we call a fragmented child? A part of you that never grew up all the way, a part of you that still has unresolved issues or energies, generally karmatic energies, that need to be raised. When that happens, there's not much to do, right? You hear that voice, you have that calling, you want that thing. It's driving you crazy. It's everywhere. And you see it everywhere. Let's say it's a hot red sports car. All of a sudden, they're on TV. They're on your way to work. Is that God telling you? Is that your inner voice? Not necessarily. You have to stop and really be able to discern. First of all, if you're in a hot red hurry, generally, that isn't the voice of authenticity. It isn't your true inner voice. You have to get familiar with yourself. Again, that part of you, the source of you, is unstructured. That means it doesn't write you letters. It doesn't write you music. It doesn't necessarily come through as sound. It comes through as energy. Think of it as a dream that you had last night, the night before. That dream didn't necessarily make sense. Maybe you heard things in the dream. Maybe you saw things in the dream. But things aren't logical. They kind of flow into each other. There's a sensation. There's a feeling, sure. But the feeling isn't always accurate. If you dream that a big monster came and ate you or something like that, here you are, it's not correct. So is your dream full of it? Are you just processing things? Maybe, but your dreams speak a language, an energetic language. That means that you cannot take them at the face value that they are. They are representational and they are energetic. You have to find the energy of it. The same is true for that inner voice of yours. It is similar to a dream in the sense that you can't necessarily take it at the face value of what you think. Look, a bird flew by. I meant to go on a vacation. Maybe, maybe not. You have to go deeper. You have to learn your own language from the source that you are, so that just like your dreams, you can understand at a deeper level the meaning. That means that a part of our job in body is to take that energy and turn it into something structured that we can understand and that we then live. It guides us to be the best version of ourselves, to manifest our wildest dreams, and to become more, to expand and really raise our energetic frequency, raising our karma. So when you want to be able to connect with that inner voice, recognize that the first thing that flies by doesn't mean it's a message for you, or it doesn't mean that you necessarily know how to interpret it. Sit with it. Just like dreams can't be interpreted for everyone. If you have a strawberry in your dream, that means something different to you than it does to me, which means something totally different than it means to my neighbor. It all depends on how we perceive the strawberry. If I'm allergic, it's a bad sign. If I love strawberries, or if my neighbor thinks they're the best thing ever, or if they're growing a strawberry patch out back, it means something totally different and delicious. So make sure that you recognize your inner voice hasn't abandoned you, and it hasn't really left you astray. Your ability to understand it, your ability to speak the language of your inner voice is the trick. And even when you were young, you were more connected to that language, but you didn't necessarily know how to bring that fully into structure. After all, babies can't speak. They don't know how yet. They haven't evolved that structure of language. So give yourself the ability, the time to sit with yourself, to sit with what you get, what you think is that inner voice, and get to know the inner voice, get to know yourself. Because it's only when you get to know yourself that you'll be able to recognize that inner voice, recognize what you can trust, and what's ultimately really true for you, helpful for you, and going to help you become that bigger, better version that has what you desire manifested, and that version that loves himself or herself. And that is priceless.